All right, Crazy Lenny, what do you got for me today?
Yeah, right. Yeah, see him laugh right there. United States Analog, they just did something that was a $24 CD player versus like a, I don't know, $50,000 CD player, something like that, right? But I don't know that that's the best thing that you could do.
Oh, come on, Tom. Come on, Lenny. You make me look like I'm some kind of cheapskate. Hi, I'm Bob, and you, my friends, are in the United States of Analog. Welcome back to our great nation of audio combinations. But before we begin, let me set the record straight. I do not enjoy being characterized as some kind of cheapskate. Oh, look at me! I'm Crazy Lenny! Oh, Bob is so cheap, he's such a cheapskate, he never buys anything expensive. Ah! Oh, whatever, man. What's with these weird glasses anyway? All right, listen, how's my hair? I got fake fur all over myself. I hate being stereotyped as some kind of cheap audio man, all right? I'm not. I've got class.
I've got style.
I went down to my local hi-fi store, Origin Hi-Fi, and I borrowed these $8,000 Focal KANTA #1 bookies. Who's cheap now, Lenny? So yeah, I've got these KANTAs in-house, and I've got my vintage 1995 probably Chorus 705 from JMLab, which is the precursor, the predecessor, the original name of Focal. Both of these speakers built and designed in France. $700 today adjusted for inflation, $8,000 today at Origin Hi-Fi. We are going to pit them against each other, and I think we all know who's going to have the TKO in this one. But we're going to do it anyway, and it's going to give me a great opportunity to tell you about this great speaker right here, this Focal KANTA #1. Let me clear these out of the way. I wanted to put these in front of me because sometimes when I do a review and I'm not next to the piece of equipment, people go, oh man, you don't even own it, you whatever. Come on, quit being so critical. We're here for the entertainment value. We're here to be infotained. Okay, let me clear these out so we can get to work. All right, before we look at some pretty pictures and give you some specs, let me first say that the KANTA speakers are pretty difficult to photograph. Now, that's not your problem, that's my problem, but here we go. Take a look at these beauties. The #1 bookshelves feature a 6.5 flax cone woofer in a special tuned mass damping suspension. The beryllium tweeter is just over 1 inch in diameter. The cabinet is a multiply molded wood cabinet, molded high-density polymer front baffle for enhanced sound definition. It's all very highly glossy. That's what makes it difficult to photograph, but makes it really pretty to look at. Though it is a fingerprint magnet, there's a power flow port. That sounds like something on an F1 car. Freak response, 46 to 40,000 hertz, plus or minus 3 dB. Sensitivity, 88 dB. Nominal impedance, 8 ohms, power handling up to 150 watts. It comes with a removable magnetic grill, but I left that at the store. You want to show these speakers off. Super high quality, single set of binding posts. And as I mentioned, these speakers are designed and built in France. They weigh in at 28.7 pounds and in inches, 9 1/4 inches wide, 16 5/8 inches high, and 15 7/16 deep. And they come with a 5-year warranty. And just for comparison, here's my Gen 1 Chorus 705s from the mid-90s or so. I remember buying these for about $400 a pair, two-way configuration. It's got a polyglass cone, JMLab mid-woofer, about 5 inches or so in diameter, a titanium inverted dome tweeter with this, I guess that's a waveguide. They kind of look like flying buttresses. He said buttress. And that's about 1 inch in diameter. Freak response, 67 to 22,000 kilohertz, plus or minus 3 dB. And these weigh in at, I don't know, I can't do the conversion, 4.3 kilograms. So 2 different Focals from different time periods with a huge price delta, thousands of dollars in difference. Why would I pit them against each other? Well, the honest answer is I really don't have any other super high-priced speakers in the house to compare the KANTA to. I have Klipsch Fortes. I'm not sure that's exactly a fair fight because it's a totally different form factor with the horns and the passive radiator. It's a floor stander. These are bookshelves. I will say there are some similarities in the emotional impact that both speakers can create in a room, and the smoothness of the highs and the detail of the highs, and I'll get to the highs in a second because it's a real highlight here with the number one. But I wanted to, as crazy as it may sound, see if there was any comparison whatsoever between these two Focal branded speakers. Because you know, when you have a young YouTube channel such as I have, mine is just slightly over a year old, you review a ton of $500, $400, $300, maybe even $150 speakers. You're constantly reviewing those because that's what you can afford to buy. In reality, the differences are, in a lot of them, are pretty minute. You've got to get a magnifying glass out. It's a very narrow kind of competition, you know. Sure, I've heard great speakers at audio shows and in showrooms, but to bring them into my home and experience Focal KANTA number ones in my home was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I set them on my solid steel stands. They look great. They really command your attention visually. And I like that. They're very unique. And they do have that Focal look, that trickle-down look from the big Focals. There is absolutely nothing offensive about the Focal KANTA's number one. Nothing offensive whatsoever. You can listen for days. It was several steps up from what I've been accustomed to listening to. Hey, please like and subscribe. You'd really be helping out my channel. So let's talk about this tweeter. This beryllium tweeter. I am no scientist, but I read that beryllium is the lightest solid substance on the planet. Beryllium. This tweeter can move so fast and can produce such levels of detail as to almost be unbelievable. I mean, I was just blown away. Airiness, light. I mean, you could just tell that this tweeter was made of something almost supernatural. Speed, airiness, a reality of sound that just captivated me. Wide, beautiful detail, pinpoint separation and center image, and depth that really extended beyond the front wall. Again, it's kind of hard to quantify an emotional experience like this. Just that tweeter alone made me not want to stop listening to the music. And speaking of the music and equipment, this is what I was listening to. A lot of CDs, because I got in the brand new Cambridge Audio EVO 150 streaming amplifier, and with it came the Cambridge Audio EVO CD transport. Got a few of my CD favorites out. Some of them are those West German targets that came out at the dawn of the CD era. And why are they targets? Well, they're West German pressings, or kind of look like targets on a firing range. This was the dawn of the CD era where they didn't compress the sound. This is the first CD I ever bought, and one of the first CDs probably ever produced. You'll notice with some of these early 80s CDs that you really have to crank up the volume, you know, and in recent years, in recent actually decades, the record labels have been telling engineers to crank up the volume and put on the compression because they want the CDs to sound loud. They think they'll sell more of them, or they thought they would sell more of them. You know, come on. Who doesn't love this album? Deep Purple Machine Head, one of the best rock albums. Pound for pound, song for song. And this, I don't know where this came from. It has a Japanese obi, but it says it's EMI Music Canada. It also says that the obi was printed in the EU, so I don't know. But this thing, this Roxy music sounds phenomenal. Avalon. For a little vinyl taste, yeah, I cranked up the studio deck. Look at this. This record is one of my favorite records of all time. I think it's the best Hall & Oates album. It's their second album. QRP and Analog Productions have given it the remastering, the 45 RPM treatment. I wish these guys weren't fighting. Why do rock and rollers have to fight?
Come on, Daryl and John, let's get it together.
Now that 6.5-inch flax cone woofer was very good as well. Dipping down, what did I say? Dipping down to about 46. That's pretty deep, but not deep enough for me. My personal opinion is that any bookie should have a subwoofer. And I have a classic 98 from Rel. It's one of my favorite things. I love the way it looks in my room. I love the sound of it. I can dial it in, I can pump it up, I can turn it back, I can change the crossover. It's not going to rattle your teeth, but it just provides that foundation that I think every bookshelf speaker should have. Listen, my reviews aren't scientific. I'll be the first to say it. I'm about the emotional impact, as I said, and these speakers hit me hard with the subwoofer. Without the subwoofer, and I did listen, the woofer was fine. It gave me some hints of what lied underneath, but really the addition of the subwoofer just made the whole experience that much better. Width, depth, soundstage, look them up. They're all in the audiophile dictionary. It was all there in multitudes. $8,000 a pair. It should be there. I just enjoyed it. I don't want to take them back. $8,000 speakers are beyond the realm of my possibilities. And I would say with the KANTA, the price is really the only real negative, and not because it's expensive. I don't know what an ounce of beryllium would cost. But the fact that the KANTA number 2 comes in at only $2,000 more for that floor stander, you know, now you've got options. If you have $8,000, you could probably find another couple $1,000s in your sofa seat cushion or something and get the floor standers, and then you might not need a subwoofer. I love bookshelves in general though, because I can own more bookshelves, and they're easier to move around and plug in and get all kinds of different sounds. Even though I love my Fortes and I love some of my floor standers, look, bookshelves just allow me to have a lot of different listening experiences, a lot of different listening flavors. So when it comes to my JMLab's mid-90s Chorus 705s, which have been in my storage unit actually for about 5 years now. Yeah, no contest, right? The KANTAs crushed them, and by crush them in this game of rock'em sock'em speakers, right? We knew that was going to happen, but the titanium tweeter in the Chorus 705 impressed me more than it ever did before. I was able to compare it to the beryllium tweeter. It was not as fast, it was not as detailed. The whole presentation of the music seemed a little narrower and flatter in a way, but for a budget speaker, I really appreciated the Chorus 705s more than I ever have before, because I never really realized that for all these years I actually owned the Focal sound, which most of us love, and I already had it in hand and I really didn't appreciate it. And now when I go back and listen to those 705s, which can probably be had on eBay under $200, and there are various versions of it, I see that we really haven't progressed that far in the budget speaker realm over the past few decades. I would prefer these Chorus 705s with the subwoofer to my 600Ms, you know, the Klipsch, to any of my ELAC 5.2, 6.2s, or any of that class of speaker. This Chorus 705 just had more richness, more presence, more impact than the bargain basement bookshelf speakers of today. They have some gravitas and they have some history, and I'm so glad that I didn't sell them years ago, and I'm so sad that I've had them in a storage unit for 5 years. They are going to be, from here on out, in my regular rotation. So, as expected, you know, we have a clear-cut winner. We knew that when we saw my clicky thumbnail. Okay? Speaking of clicking, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you next time in the United States of Analog. And don't forget, the geniuses at YouTube have already run all the analytics for you. And they know the video that you're gonna like next. It's right here. It's already proven. You can't resist it, so just click on it. Right here, right now, click on that, and we'll see you next time.